I secretly hugged a beta. The next morning, 300 wolves surrounded my palace, and I awoke as the Omega Alpha Queen. The wedding dress hangs in my chamber like a corpse, all ivory silk and seed pearls that catch the dying afternoon light filtering through the latticed windows. I've been staring at it for 3 hours, watching shadows creep across the floor, and I still can't breathe properly. Tomorrow at dawn, I'll wear that beautiful, suffocating thing and walk down an aisle lined with roses and lies, and I'll promise my life to a man whose scent makes my wolf curl up small and silent inside me, whimpering like a beaten thing. 23 years. That's how long I've been Crown Prince Rashid's promised bride. 23 years of being polished and perfected and prepared like a jewel for a crown I never wanted. My father, Lord Edmund Mitchell, sealed my fate the day I was born, trading his newborn Omega daughter for military alliance with the most powerful dynasty in the Arabian kingdoms. A treaty signed in my blood before I could even cry my first breath. The jasmine and rose fragrance from the palace gardens drifts through my window on the evening breeze, sickeningly sweet, and all I can smell is duty, obligation, the sterile scent of a life mapped out in contracts and political necessity. I press my palm against the stone wall, still warm from the sun, and close my eyes against the burning behind them. I will not cry. I've spent 23 years not crying. The memories come anyway, uninvited and sharp as broken glass. I was 7 years old the first time I saw Logan Anderson. My father had just acquired new Arabian horses for the royal stables, magnificent creatures with arched necks and wild eyes, and I'd snuck away from my tutors to watch them arrive. The head trainer's son was there, a skinny beta boy with dark hair falling into his eyes, speaking softly to a mare who was trying to kick her way out of her stall. He didn't use force or shouting like the other handlers. He just stood there, patient and calm, one hand extended, letting her come to him. I watched him for an hour, hidden behind feed sacks that smelled like oats and earth. When he finally noticed me, he didn't bow or call me Lady Avery, or treat me like the fragile political asset everyone else saw. He just smiled and asked if I wanted to learn how to brush a horse properly. That was the day I learned that not everyone saw me as a thing to be traded. We became inseparable after that, in the way children can be when they find someone who sees them as human. Logan taught me to ride, to move through the palace's secret passages, to climb the fig trees in the East Garden where no one thought to look for a nobleman's daughter. His father was beta. His mother had died when he was young, and he had this way of existing in the palace without being crushed by it. He made me laugh. He made me forget sometimes that I wasn't really free. The memory that haunts me most happened when I was 14. Summer night, full moon turning the palace gardens silver, jasmine blooming so thick the air felt heavy with it. I'd snuck out after my engagement celebration. Yes, they celebrated when I turned 14 and became of age to solidify the marriage contract. Lords and ladies had toasted my future. Rashid's hand had been cold and possessive on my wrist, and I'd smiled until my face ached. I found Logan in the garden, by the fountain where water trickled over stone angels. He took one look at my face and opened his arms, and I crashed into him like a ship against rocks. I was crying then, sobbing into his chest while he held me and didn't tell me it would be okay because we both knew it wouldn't. Then somehow his hand was in my hair, tilting my face up, and he was looking at me like I was the moon itself, and he'd been lost in darkness his whole life. When he kissed me, soft and questioning and achingly gentle, something in my chest cracked open. His scent, leather and cedar and something inexplicably right, like coming home, flooded my senses and made my Omega wolf sing in a way she never had for Rashid's aggressive alpha musk. We broke apart gasping, and I saw my own devastation reflected in his eyes, because we both understood in that moment what we were, fated mates in a world that would never let us have each other. For 9 years after that, we stole moments, secret meetings in the stables, conversations whispered in dark corridors, his hand brushing mine as he passed, every touch carefully rationed, every look charged with everything we couldn't say. He never asked me to run away with him. I never asked him to wait for me. We both knew there was no point in asking for impossibilities. A knock at my door jolts me back to the present. "My lady?" Yasmin's voice, my lady's maid, worried and soft. "You haven't touched your dinner. You need to eat." "I'm not hungry," I call back, and it's true. My stomach has been twisted into knots for days. Tomorrow I'll be married, bedded, bred like prize livestock. Tomorrow I'll smile while Rashid claims me in front of hundreds of witnesses. Tomorrow my life as anything resembling a person ends. The prince sent gifts, Yasmin continues. Shall I bring them in? No. My voice comes out sharper than I intend. Leave them outside. I hear her hesitate, then retreat. The gifts will be expensive, exquisite, perfectly chosen to display Rashid's wealth and power. He has excellent taste in everything except how to treat an Omega like an actual human being. In 9 years of formal courtship, he's never once asked what I want, what I dream about, what frightens me. I'm a womb with a noble bloodline attached, nothing more. The sun finally sets, bleeding orange and purple across the desert sky. Stars emerge one by one, sharp and bright in the way they only get in places far from city lights. I watch them appear and think about Logan's hands, careful and calloused from years of working with horses. About his laugh, rare but genuine. About the way he looks at me like I'm something precious, but never fragile. The decision crystallizes in my chest, like ice forming over water. One last time. One memory to carry me through the wasteland of my future. It's selfish and stupid and will change nothing, but I don't care. If I'm going to spend the rest of my life as Rashid's property, then I want one night, just one, where I belong to myself. The palace quiets as midnight approaches. I wait until the guard rotation changes, until Yasmin's breathing evens out in the servants' chamber, until the moon rises full and round above the eastern wall. Then I slip out of my silk nightgown and into riding clothes, soft leather that won't rustle. My hands shake as I braid my hair back. Logan showed me the secret passages years ago, the ones the palace's ancient builders included for servants and escape routes. I navigate by touch and memory, stone cool beneath my fingertips, air musty with disuse. My heart pounds so hard I can hear blood rushing in my ears. Every shadow looks like a guard. Every sound makes me freeze. But luck or fate, or the moon goddess herself guides me through. And then I'm outside, running through the rose gardens where thorns catch at my sleeves. The stables loom ahead, long and low, smelling like hay and horse and saddle leather. A single lantern burns in the tack room. He's there. Of course he's there. Logan always knew when I needed him, some instinct that ran deeper than words. He turns when I burst through the door, lamplight casting shadows across his face, and something in his expression tells me he's been waiting. Not just tonight, for years. We stare at each other across 10 feet of space that might as well be an ocean. His chest rises and falls rapidly, beta wolf stirring beneath his skin. I can scent him from here, that cedar and leather and something uniquely Logan that makes my wolf keen with longing. His dark eyes are liquid with pain. Avery. My name sounds like a prayer and a curse. You shouldn't be here. I know. My voice cracks. I know, but I can't. Logan, tomorrow The words tangle and die. What is there to say? Tomorrow I marry another man. Tomorrow this ends. Tomorrow. An avalanche of tomorrows that will bury everything I feel standing here looking at him. So I don't say anything. I just close the distance between us and wrap my arms around him, pressing my face into his chest, breathing him in like I'm drowning and he's air. His heart hammers against my cheek. For a moment he's frozen, every muscle rigid with the effort of not responding. Then his arms come around me, crushing me close, and a sound tears from his throat that might be my name or might be surrender. This is what I came for, this moment, this feeling of being held by someone who actually sees me, who knows every scar on my soul and hasn't looked away. Just this, just the memory of his warmth, his solid reality, the way his chin rests on top of my head like I fit there. Then the world catches fire. It starts as warmth in my chest where we're pressed together, spreading outward like spilled wine. Pleasant at first, almost soothing, but it builds and builds until it's not warmth anymore. It's burning, liquid flames racing through my veins like my blood has turned to molten gold. I gasp and try to pull back, but Logan's arms tighten, holding me through whatever this is. Avery? His voice sounds distant, muffled. Avery, what's... Pain explodes behind my ribs. Not injury pain, but something deeper, more fundamental, like my skeleton is trying to tear itself apart and rebuild wrong. My wolf, my quiet, submissive, barely there wolf, surges up inside me with a roar that isn't supposed to come from an Omega throat. She's been sleeping my whole life, a small curled thing I could barely feel. Now she's enormous, furious, breaking free with the force of a dam exploding. I'm dimly aware of screaming. Mine or Logan's, I can't tell. My bones are rearranging themselves, elongating, reshaping. My skin burns and stretches. Every nerve ending in my body fires at once in a symphony of agony and ecstasy and pure, overwhelming sensation. This is shift, I realize through the haze. My first shift. But it's wrong. All wrong. Because Omega's shift's small and quiet and submissive, and what's tearing out of me is anything but. The stable spins. Hay and wood and stone blur together. Logan's scent anchors me, the only solid thing in a world turning liquid. I cling to it, to him, as my body betrays everything I thought I knew about myself. Then suddenly I'm not standing anymore. I'm on 4 legs, massive paws planted on stable floor. The world looks different, sharper, colors muted but movements crystal clear. Scents explode in my nostrils, thousands of messages written in pheromones and earth and life. I can hear Logan's heartbeat, fast and shocked. I can smell his fear and awe, and something else, something that sings recognition in my newly formed bones. I look down at myself, or try to. Silver fur catches the lamplight, shimmering like moonlight on water. My legs are long and powerful, muscles coiling beneath the pelt. When I flex my claws, they scrape stone with a sound like swords. I'm huge, bigger than any Omega wolf should be, bigger than most alpha wolves I've seen. Moon goddess, Logan breathes, and I whip my massive head toward him. He's backed against the stable wall, eyes wide but not with fear, with wonder, with something that looks like reverence. Avery, always knew you were special, but this, he can't finish. Neither can I, because exhaustion crashes over me like a wave. The transformation, the power, the sheer impossibility of what just happened. It's too much. My legs buckle. I feel myself falling, shrinking, bones cracking back into human shape. Strong arms catch me before I hit the ground. Logan, always catching me. I'm naked and shaking, covered in sweat, every muscle in my body screaming. He strips off his shirt and wraps it around me, then pulls me into his lap on the stable floor, cradling me like something precious and broken. What? My voice is raw, barely there. What was that? You shifted. His hand strokes my hair, gentle and grounding. Your first shift. But Avery, you shouldn't be that big? I finish, bitter laugh scraping my throat. I know. Omegas are supposed to be small, delicate, bred for submission. The words taste like ash. No. Logan tilts my face up, forcing me to meet his eyes. They're dark and deep and full of something I'm afraid to name. Not that. You're not just big. You're alpha. The words don't make sense. That's impossible. I'm Omega. I've always been Omega. The palace physician confirmed it when I was 12. My heat started at 14. I'm both. His thumb brushes my cheekbone. Reverent. You're both, Avery. I've heard stories, ancient legends from my grandmother. Once every 1,000 years, an Omega is born who carries alpha power. An Omega Alpha Queen. The last one lived over a millennium ago. She nearly burned the world down. I should argue, should laugh at the absurdity. But something in my chest resonates with his words. A deep knowing that this is truth, that what just happened wasn't a fluke or a curse, but an awakening of something that's been sleeping in my bloodline for 1,000 years, waiting for the right moment, the right touch, to emerge, the right touch. I look at Logan, really look at him, and see the way his wolf is moving under his skin, restless and agitated. The mate bond. That's what this is. The touch that awakened me wasn't just any touch. It was his, my fated mate, finally acknowledged after years of denial. Logan, I whisper, what have we done? Before he can answer, a sound rises from outside the stable, distant at first, then growing louder, howling. Not one wolf, but many, a chorus of voices lifting to the moon in perfect unison. My skin prickles. Something ancient in my blood responds, wanting to howl back. Logan helps me stand on shaking legs, pulls me to the stable window. What I see steals what's left of my breath. Wolves, hundreds of them, surrounding the palace in concentric circles, all sizes, all colors, gray and brown and black and red. Some I recognize as palace guards in their shift forms. Others must have come from the city, the surrounding lands, drawn by something they don't understand but can't ignore. They're not attacking, not threatening. They're waiting, watching the palace with eyes that glow in the darkness. How many? I breathe. Logan's counting under his breath. 300, maybe more. Avery, they're here for you. They felt it when you shifted, when you awakened. They're recognizing you as... No. Panic claws up my throat. No, no, no. The wedding is in 6 hours. The council will. Logan, what am I going to do? He pulls me against his chest, and I can feel his heart racing as fast as mine. I don't know, but whatever happens, I'm with you. Always have been. The words should comfort me. Instead, they terrify me, because I know what's coming. Rashid will find out. The palace will find out. By dawn, everyone will know that the promised Omega bride transformed into something impossible, something legendary, something that shouldn't exist. And when they find out who I was with when it happened, when they sent Logan all over me, I've just destroyed everything. Not just my arranged marriage, but the treaty between kingdoms, my father's alliance, generations of careful political maneuvering. All of it, shattered because I couldn't stay away from the one person I was never supposed to touch. The howling continues outside. 300 voices declaring something I'm not ready to accept. Through the stable window, I watch the sky begin to lighten, pink and gold creeping across the horizon. Dawn is coming. My wedding day is coming. And I've just become something that changes everything. The stable doors explode inward with a crash that makes my bones jump. Royal guards flood in like a crimson tide, their ceremonial armor catching the dawn light filtering through the windows. Steel sings as they draw their swords, and I'm still wrapped in Logan's shirt, still trembling from the transformation, still trying to understand what the hell just happened to my body when the shouting starts. Lady Avery! Commander Khalil's voice booms across the space, and I recognize him. One of Rashid's most loyal men. A massive alpha with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow. His nostrils flare as he scents the air, and his face contorts with fury and something that might be fear. Step away from the beta. Now. Logan moves before I can think, shifting his body between me and the wall of armed men. It's instinctive, protective, utterly pointless against 24 trained warriors, but he does it anyway because that's who he is. My heart cracks watching him stand there in just his pants, shirtless and defenseless, willing to die if it means buying me another second. She hasn't done anything wrong, Logan says, and his voice is steady even though I can smell his fear underneath the cedar leather scent that marks him as mine. I'm the one who corrupted the crown prince's betrothed, Khalil spits, who defiled an Omega promised to royalty, who committed treason against 2 kingdoms with your filthy beta hands. The words are designed to humiliate, to reduce what Logan and I have to something dirty and shameful. Rage flares in my chest, hot and new, and I feel my wolf stir inside me. Not the small, submissive thing I've lived with my whole life, but something massive and furious that wants to rip Khalil's throat out for daring to speak about Logan that way. But before I can move, before I can speak, 4 guards rush Logan. He fights. Of course he fights, landing a solid punch that breaks someone's nose before they overwhelm him with sheer numbers. They slam him face first into the stable floor, and I hear the crack of his ribs, smell the copper penny scent of his blood, and something inside me screams, "Stop!" The word tears from my throat with a force that makes the lantern swing. "Don't touch him!" Every guard freezes, not because I'm a nobleman's daughter or a promised princess, but because Alpha Command just rang through my voice like a bell, compelling and undeniable. I watch confusion ripple through them. How can an Omega give Alpha commands? But the compulsion holds them motionless. Khalil recovers first, shaking off the power in my voice through sheer stubborn will. "Seize her," he orders. "Gently, she's still the bride, but get her back to the palace." The wedding proceeds at dawn, as planned. Hands grab my arms, careful hands, afraid hands, and I'm hauled to my feet. Someone throws a cloak over my shoulders, covering Logan's shirt and my bare legs. I twist, trying to see him, but they're already dragging him up, shackling his wrists behind his back with iron that burns against his skin. Our eyes meet for one desperate second before they force us apart. The walk back to the palace is the longest of my life. Dawn has fully broken now, painting the sandstone walls gold and orange. Palace servants line the corridors, drawn by the commotion, and I feel their stares like brands on my skin. Whispers follow in my wake like poisonous flowers. The Omega bride was found with the Beta stable master. Half naked in the hay, can you imagine the scandal? They say she shifted for the first time. But the size of the wolf? Impossible. The wedding will be cancelled, surely. Prince Rashid won't want soiled goods. Each word is a knife. But the worst part is the way my father's most trusted ladies-in-waiting look at me. Lady Beatrice, who taught me embroidery when I was 8. Lady Miriam, who held my hand through my first heat. They stare at me now with disgust and fascination twisted together, like I'm something simultaneously shameful and captivating. But underneath their judgment, underneath the scandal and horror, I smell something else. Fear, raw, primal terror, because the scent rolling off me isn't omega sweetness anymore. It's alpha power, thick and undeniable, the kind that makes lesser wolves want to bare their throats. I'm radiating authority I don't understand and never asked for, and it's turning their world inside out. The guards march me straight to the Great Hall, that massive chamber where my father holds court, where I've sat through 1,000 tedious political meetings pretending to be decorative. The doors are already open, and inside I can see them waiting. My father stands at the head of the room, Lord Edmund Mitchell in all his alpha glory. Even at 50, he's imposing, broad-shouldered and gray-bearded, with blue eyes cold as North Sea ice. Next to him stands Prince Rashid, and the sight of him makes my stomach curdle. He's beautiful in the way predators are beautiful, all sharp edges and calculated grace. His traditional robes are pristine white and gold, and his alpha scent, sandalwood and something acrid, fills the entire hall. The Council of Elders flanks them, 8 ancient men and women who advise the throne. I recognize most of them. Lord Hassan with his hawk nose, Lady Sophia who always smelled like rosewater, old Ibrahim who can barely hear anymore, and at the far end, hunched and draped in black, the healer Nadia. She's the oldest living wolf in the kingdom at 90 years, and her milky eyes see things most people miss. The guards force me forward, and then retreat, leaving me standing alone in the center of the hall. The door slams shut behind me with a sound like a tomb ceiling. Avery, my father's voice could cut glass. What have you done? The question hangs in the air. I open my mouth, close it. What can I possibly say? That I went to Logan because I was drowning? That his touch woke something in me that's been sleeping for 1,000 years? That I'm apparently some kind of prophesied impossibility that shouldn't exist? My voice comes out smaller than I want. I don't know how to explain. You dishonored yourself. Prince Rashid's voice is silk over steel as he stalks toward me. His alpha scent intensifies, meant to force submission, to make my omega instincts kick in and drive me to my knees apologizing. You dishonored me. On the eve of our wedding, you spread your legs for a beta-stable hand like common whore. The crudeness is designed to humiliate. It works. Heat floods my face. But something else floods me too. Fury. Because I didn't spread anything for anyone. Logan and I embraced. That's all. The transformation happened because of what I am, not what I did. I start. Silence. Rashid is right in front of me now, so close I can see the gold flecks in his dark eyes. His power washes over me in waves, trying to force my wolf to submit, to cower, to admit wrongdoing. You will apologize. You will beg my forgiveness, and then you will marry me as promised, and spend the rest of your miserable life trying to make up for this insult. His hand shoots out, grabbing my chin, forcing my face up. It's meant to be dominating, a physical reminder of his authority over me. In the past, it would have worked. My omega wolf would have whimpered and submitted, and I would have lowered my eyes and accepted whatever punishment he deemed appropriate. But the creature living inside me now doesn't know how to submit. My wolf surges up, and I feel my eyes flash gold. A growl rumbles from my chest, deep and threatening and completely un-omega-like. Rashid's eyes widen slightly, but he doesn't let go. Instead, his grip tightens, fingers digging into my jaw hard enough to bruise. You dare, he starts. Release her. Nadia's voice cracks across the hall like a whip. Now, Prince, unless you want to lose that hand. Rashid drops me like I've burned him, spinning to face the old healer. This doesn't concern you, crone. Doesn't it? Nadia shuffles forward, her walking stick tapping against marble. Despite her age, despite her blindness, she radiates authority. Tell me, Prince Rashid, when was the last Omega Alpha Queen born? The hall goes silent. Confused looks pass between council members. My father's face has gone carefully blank, which means he's processing something he doesn't want to believe. Omega Alpha Queen? Lord Hassan speaks up, his voice uncertain. That's a myth, Nadia. A story to frighten children. Is it? Nadia's milky eyes somehow find me across the room. Look at her. Really look. What do you smell? I watch them test the air, watch realization dawn on face after face, because I still reek of alpha power, that unmistakable dominance that marks the highest-ranking wolves. But my body is omega, the curves, the softness, the biological markers that have defined me since puberty. The combination shouldn't be possible. It's a trick, Rashid declares. Some beta witch gave her a glamour, Made her smell like alpha to avoid the wedding. This is theater. Then explain the 300 wolves surrounding your palace, Nadia counters. Explain why they've been howling since dawn. Explain why every wolf in the city felt it when she shifted for the first time last night. I can explain that, Rashid snarls. She was in heat with a beta. The stench of her shame is calling to every desperate male within miles. I wasn't in heat. I snap, and my voice comes out stronger now. I shifted. For the first time. And yes, Logan was there, but we didn't. Then why does he reek of you? Rashid demands. Why were you wearing his shirt? Why were you naked in the stables with him if not to spread your... Because I hugged him. The words explode from me. I hugged him, and the touch triggered my first shift, and I transformed into something none of us understand. That's the truth. The truth, my father speaks for the first time, is that you've destroyed a treaty 23 years in the making. The truth is that you've cost me alliance with the most powerful dynasty in the East. The truth is that you're exactly what I've always suspected. Weak and selfish and unfit to be anyone's bride. His words land like blows. He's never said them before, but I've always known he thought them. I'm his disappointment, his failure, the Omega daughter who couldn't even manage to be properly Omega. Bring in the beta, Lord Hassan orders, and my heart stops. The doors open again, and guards drag Logan into the hall. He's barely conscious, face swollen and bleeding from where they beat him. His wrists are bound in iron chains that burn against his skin. Not regular iron, but the kind treated with silver and wolfsbane that weakens shifters. When they throw him down on the marble, he doesn't even try to catch himself. Pain explodes in my chest. His pain, traveling through some invisible thread connecting us. I gasp and stumble, hand pressed over my heart, and feel his agony like it's my own. Broken ribs, split lip, something wrong with his left shoulder. Every injury registers in my body like an echo. The mate bond, Nadia says quietly. Already so strong. What? I manage through the haze of shared pain. Nadia moves toward Logan, kneeling with difficulty to place one gnarled hand on his battered shoulder. He flinches, then goes still as her power washes over him. Diagnostic, gentle. After a long moment, she looks up at the council. Logan Anderson is not beta, she announces. He's descended from the mystic wolf line. The Guardians. Silence. Then chaos. Impossible. Ibrahim sputters. The Guardian bloodline died out 800 years ago. Did it? Nadia's smile is grim. Or did they go into hiding when the last Omega Alpha Queen destroyed herself? Waiting. Protecting the bloodline. Preparing for the day when their queen would rise again. She turns those blind eyes toward me. The hug didn't just trigger your shift, child. It completed the mate bond. The bond that forms between an Omega Alpha Queen and her chosen guardian. 1,000 years ago, the last queen lost her guardian to war and went mad with grief. She burned kingdoms trying to follow him into death. But you, her voice softens, you've found yours while you're both still breathing. The moon goddess has given you what the last queen lost. I stare at Logan's broken form on the marble floor and feel the truth of her words singing in my bones. He's mine. Not politically arranged mine, not contracted since birth mine, but soul-deep fated mate mine, in a way that transcends law and treaty and tradition. This changes nothing, Rashid says coldly. Guardian bloodline or not, he's still a stable hand who touched what belongs to me, and she's still my bride by treaty and law. The wedding proceeds. He dies for treason. End of discussion. No. The word comes out before I can stop it. No, I won't. Every head swivels toward me. My father's face goes purple. The council members look scandalized. But I'm looking at Rashid, and for the first time in 23 years, I'm not afraid of him. You won't? He laughs, sharp and cruel. You don't get a choice, Omega. You were sold to me before you could walk. Your father took my family's gold, accepted our military support, swore blood oaths. You are mine by rights older than you are. You will marry me. You will bear my children. And you will spend every day of your existence learning what happens to disobedient females who forget their place. He's advancing on me now. Alpha power rolling off him in suffocating waves. Behind me, I hear Logan struggling against his chains, trying to rise despite his injuries. The mate bond between us pulls tight as wire. I said no, I repeat, and this time, my wolf rises up to meet his challenge. Rashid's hand shoots out to grab me, probably to drag me to the wedding by force, and something in my chest explodes. It's not magic exactly. not the shifting power from last night. It's dominance, pure alpha command, the kind that forces submission from everyone in range. The wave of power that erupts from me isn't gentle. It slams into every wolf in the great hall like a physical blow. Lord Hassan drops to his knees. Lady Safia gasps and bows her head. My father, my powerful alpha father, staggers backward. Even Prince Rashid, with all his dynasty's strength behind him, goes down hard, forced into submission by something bigger than both of us. Every wolf in the room is on their knees or bowing. Every wolf except one. Logan, battered and chained and barely conscious, raises his head and looks at me. His eyes are clear and dark and full of recognition. The mate bond between us burns bright enough that I swear I can see it. Golden threads connecting my heart to his across the space between us. Outside, the 300 wolves begin to howl. Not threat, not warning. Recognition, celebration. They're announcing to the world that something impossible has just happened in this palace. The Omega Alpha Queen has risen, and she's just rejected the most powerful Alpha dynasty in the known world. They lock me in my chambers like I'm something dangerous they need to contain. Maybe I am. The heavy oak doors close with a finality that makes my chest tighten, and I hear the bolt slide home, then the scrape of guards taking position outside. 2, at least. Maybe more. As if wooden doors and human steel could hold what I've become. The room is exactly as I left it yesterday, a lifetime ago. The wedding dress still hangs there, mocking me with its perfection. The vanity table scattered with cosmetics I'll never wear. The bed I was supposed to share with Rashid tonight, sheets turned down invitingly, rose petals probably wilting between them by now. Everything prepared for a future that no longer exists. I pace to the window, press my palms against the cool lattice work. Below, the 300 wolves still circle the palace grounds. Some have bedded down in the gardens, some prowl the perimeter, but none have left. They're waiting. For what? I don't entirely understand, but I feel their presence like a physical weight, grounding me. And underneath it all, thrumming through my bones like a second heartbeat, is Logan. The mate bond is a living thing now, golden thread connecting my soul to his across 3 floors and countless stone walls. I can feel him in the dungeons below, hurt, exhausted, but alive. Every breath he takes echoes in my chest. Every spike of pain from his injuries registers in my body as phantom aches. His heartbeat synchronizes with mine, slower than it should be, and I know he's sleeping, or unconscious, or maybe just too exhausted to stay awake. I wrap my arms around myself and try not to think about the guards beating him. Try not to remember the sound of his ribs cracking, or the way blood ran down his face. Try not to feel the mate bond pulling me toward him with a force that makes my teeth ache. A soft knock at the door startles me from the spiral. My lady? Yasmin's voice, careful and low. I've brought dinner. I hear the guards conferring. Then the bolt slides back. Yasmin slips inside carrying a covered tray, and the door locks behind her immediately. She sets the tray on the table, then turns to me with eyes full of complicated emotion. Yasmin has served my family since before I was born. She was my mother's lady's maid, and when mother died in childbirth trying to give father the alpha son he wanted, Yasmin transferred her loyalty to me. She's 40 now, dark-skinned and beautiful despite the silver threading through her black hair. She's also one of the few people in this palace who's ever looked at me like I'm human. You should eat, she says, uncovering dishes of lamb and rice, flatbread and dates. The smell makes my stomach clench with hunger I've been ignoring. I'm not hungry. It's a lie. I'm starving. But eating feels wrong when Logan is suffering 3 floors below me. Yasmin's expression softens. He wouldn't want you to starve yourself for him. The words hit harder than they should. How did you... The whole palace knows about the mate bond, my lady. Nadia's not exactly subtle when she wants to make a point. Yasmin moves to the window, standing beside me, looking down at the wolf pack below. The kingdom is divided. Half see you as abomination. Omega with alpha power. Promised bride who betrayed her betrothal. Scandal that will destroy generations of careful alliance. They want you punished, silenced, maybe killed. My throat tightens. And the other half? See you as prophecy fulfilled. The Omega Alpha Queen who will unite the fractured packs, who will end the tyranny of arranged matings, who will remake the world into something better. She glances at me sideways. They're gathering outside the palace walls. Omegas mostly, but some betas too. Even a few alphas who are tired of the old ways. They're calling you savior. The weight of expectation crashes over me. I don't want to be anyone's savior. I just want Logan safe and my life back and none of this to be happening. What does my father say? I ask, though I'm not sure I want to know. Lord Mitchell is meeting with Prince Rashid and the council. They're deciding your fate. Yasmin's voice drops to barely a whisper. There's talk of forced marriage, binding ceremony without your consent. And Logan, she stops, swallows hard. They want to execute him at dawn as example. Show the kingdom what happens to those who touch what belongs to royalty. No. The word reverberates through my entire being. They will not kill him. I won't allow it. But what can I do? Locked in this room? Powerless despite the alpha strength supposedly living in my bones. I sink onto the bed, and suddenly I'm drowning in memories. Not of today's horror, but of all the years before. All the moments with Logan that I treasured like stolen jewels. I was 10 years old the first time he put me on a horse. Not one of the placid mares the riding master used for noble daughters, but a spirited gelding named Thunder with a coat like midnight. Logan boosted me into the saddle, adjusted the stirrups himself, then looked up at me with absolute confidence in his dark eyes. You're not fragile, he said. Stop letting them treat you like you'll break. Then he smacked Thunder's rump, and the horse took off like lightning. And I was flying, wind in my hair, heart in my throat, laughing for the first time in months. That ride taught me what freedom felt like. Logan gave me that. At 16, after my official engagement ceremony to Rashid, after hours of being displayed like a prize mare, paraded before nobility who evaluated my worth in childbearing hips and submissive demeanor, I found Logan in the East Gardens. I was crying so hard I couldn't breathe, and he didn't say anything, just pulled me into his arms and held me while I soaked his shirt with tears. I can't do this, I sobbed against his chest. I can't marry him. I can't spend my whole life being owned. I know. His hand stroked my hair, gentle and devastating. I know, Avery. I'm sorry. We stood there for an hour, maybe more, while the moon rose and the night-blooming jasmine released its scent. He never told me it would be okay because we both knew it wouldn't, but he held me anyway, and somehow that was enough. At 20, we almost crossed the line we'd been dancing around for years. I'd sought him out in the palace library, one of the few places we could meet without constant supervision. He was reading, which always surprised people who assumed stable hands couldn't be educated. But Logan devoured books the way other wolves devoured prey. I sat beside him on the window seat, close enough that our shoulders touched. We talked about nothing and everything. The book he was reading, a funny story about one of the horses, court gossip that made us both laugh. And then somehow we were looking at each other, and the air between us changed, became charged with possibility. He leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. His scent wrapped around me like a promise. Our lips were inches apart when reality crashed back in, and I jerked away, remembering duty and promises, and the fact that I belonged to someone else whether I wanted to or not. The hurt in Logan's eyes nearly destroyed me, but he just nodded, stood up, and left without a word. We didn't speak for 2 weeks after that. It almost killed me. The memories of Rashid are so different they feel like they belong to someone else's life. Cold formality at every meeting, his hand possessive on my wrist at public events, grip just tight enough to bruise. The way he'd sent me like I was property he needed to mark, never asking if I wanted his touch. His eyes evaluating me constantly. Are my hips wide enough? Is my scent sweet enough? Will I produce strong airs? Am I properly submissive? He's never asked what I like to read, or what makes me laugh, or what I dream about. I'm a womb with a noble bloodline attached, nothing more. A different knock interrupts my thoughts, and this time I recognize the rhythm. Nadia. Yasmin opens the door, and the ancient healer shuffles in carrying a leather-bound book that looks older than the palace itself. The guards don't even question her. No one questions Nadia. She's been healing wolves and delivering babies and whispering prophecies since before most of the current royalty were born. Leave us, Nadia tells Yasmin, who bows and retreats. When we're alone, the old woman settles herself on the cushioned bench with a grunt. You need to understand what you are, child, and what will happen if you make the wrong choice. She opens the ancient book, and I see pages covered in script so old I can barely read it, illuminated with images of wolves and moons and women with crowns. Nadia's gnarled finger traces one particular illustration, a woman with silver hair and golden eyes standing atop a mountain of corpses, her mouth open in a scream. The last Omega Alpha Queen, Nadia says. Her name was Selene. She was born 1,043 years ago in the Northern Territories, and like you, She awakened on the eve of her political marriage. Like you, she had a guardian, a mystic wolf named Theron, who was her fated mate. And like you, she was commanded to marry another, to suppress her power, to serve duty instead of destiny. My throat closes. What happened? She obeyed. Nadia's voice is heavy with old grief. She married the Alpha King her family demanded. She tried to be good wife, dutiful queen, but the mate bond with Theron didn't disappear just because she ignored it. It burned inside her, eating away at her sanity with every day that passed. The alpha power trapped in Omega body with nowhere to go, no proper outlet, it festered. She turns the page to show another image. The same woman, but twisted now, monstrous, her wolf form enormous and wrong. 3 years into the marriage, Theron was killed in battle protecting the kingdom. Selene felt him die through the mate bond, felt his soul tear away from hers, and something in her shattered completely. That night, she transformed and massacred everyone in the royal palace, her husband first, then the council, then anyone who tried to stop her. 200 people dead before she finally turned her claws on herself. The horror of it washes over me. I imagine feeling Logan die through our bond. Imagine that agony multiplying until there's nothing left but rage and grief and the need to destroy everything. The power cannot be suppressed, Nadia says, meeting my eyes with those milky blind ones that somehow see everything. The mate bond cannot be denied. If you marry Rashid, if you try to bury what you are, history will repeat itself. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but eventually, you'll lose yourself. And when you do, the destruction will make Selene look merciful. Then what do I do? My voice breaks. My father made oaths. Treaties were signed. If I refuse the marriage, it could mean war between kingdoms. Thousands could die. Thousands will die anyway if you become what Selene became. Nadia closes the book with finality. The question isn't whether people will suffer, child. The question is whether you'll be the cause or the cure. She leaves me with that impossible choice, shuffling out and closing the door behind her with soft click. I stand there shaking, the weight of 1,000 years pressing down on my shoulders. Hours pass. The sun sets, plunging my room into darkness I don't bother to light candles against. I stay at the window, watching the wolf pack below, feeling Logan's presence through the bond. His pain has eased somewhat. Maybe Nadia sent someone to tend his wounds, but I can feel his despair. He thinks he's going to die tomorrow. He's trying to make peace with it. The thought makes me want to vomit. Near midnight, I hear the guards outside shift, then the bolt sliding back again. I tense, expecting Yasmin or Nadia, but the scent that precedes the visitor makes my wolf snarl. Sandalwood and acid. Rashid. He enters my chamber like he owns it, which technically he believes he does. He's changed from his formal robes into simpler clothes, dark and well cut, making him look younger, less intimidating. But I'm not fooled. I can see the calculation in his eyes. Avery. He closes the door behind him, and I hear the guards step away, giving their prince privacy. We need to talk. I don't want to talk to you. I stay by the window, keeping distance between us. I know you're frightened. His voice is gentler than I've ever heard it, almost kind. I know today was overwhelming, but you need to understand something. I'm not your enemy. I want to help you. Help me? Bitter laugh escapes. You want to execute Logan and force me into marriage. That's not help. That's imprisonment. The beta must die. Rashid moves closer, and I force myself not to retreat. He committed treason. But you, he stops within arm's reach, and I see something new in his expression. Not love, but desire, maybe. Hunger. You're special, Avery. This power you have, it's extraordinary. Together we could rule not just kingdoms, but empires. Your strength combined with my lineage, we'd be unstoppable. Understanding clicks into place. He doesn't want me despite the power. He wants me because of it. He wants to control it, wield it, use me as weapon and breeding stock combined. If you agree to marry me willingly, he continues, I'll make you a promise. The beta can live. I'll exile him instead of executing him. He'll be gone from your life, but he'll breathe. All you have to do is be my wife. Give me heirs. Stand beside me as we reshape the world. For one desperate second, I'm tempted. Logan alive is all I want, even if it means never seeing him again. At least he'd exist somewhere under the same moon. But then I feel the mate bond pulse in my chest, and I know with absolute certainty that it would destroy us both. Logan exiled, me married to another. the bond between us stretching across distance but never breaking. We'd both go mad from it eventually. No, I meet Rashid's eyes. I won't marry you. Not willingly. Not ever. His expression hardens back into familiar arrogance. Then you doom the beta to execution, and yourself to being bound against your will. The ceremony happens at dawn whether you cooperate or not. Choose, Avery. Give yourself to me freely and save his life, or fight and lose everything. He leaves before I can respond. Door closing with finality that sounds like a tomb ceiling. I stand there trembling with rage and helplessness. And then I feel it. Logan. Awake now. His consciousness pressing against mine through the mate bond. Before I can think, I'm reaching back. And suddenly we're connected in a way that has nothing to do with physical proximity. His voice fills my head, rough and tired and achingly familiar. Avery? Logan. Relief floods through me. You're okay. I was so worried. Don't worry about me. Listen, you need to cooperate. Marry Rashid. Live. I don't matter. Shut up. The words come out fierce. You matter more than anything. You think I can just marry him and forget you exist? The mate bond doesn't work that way. It'll destroy us both. Silence then. Run away with me. Tonight. We'll disappear. They'll never find us. And they'll hunt you down and kill you. And they'll call me mad, like Celine. No. Determination crystallizes in my chest. I'm not running. I'm not cooperating. I'm done being what they want me to be. Then what? I'm going to claim what's mine. The throne. You. Everything. And anyone who tries to stop me will regret it. I feel his shock ripple through the bond. You'll start a war. Then let there be war. I'm the Omega Alpha Queen. It's time I started acting like it. I don't give him time to argue. I cut the mental connection and turn my attention to the door. The guards outside. The bolt holding me prisoner. The entire system designed to keep Omegas caged and compliant. Something in my chest ignites. That same alpha power that forced an entire hall to their knees. I walk to the door and press my palm flat against the wood. The guards outside are talking in low voices about tomorrow's execution, placing bets on how long Logan will beg before he dies. Rage pours through me, focusing into something sharp and deliberate. The door explodes off its hinges. Wood splinters and iron bolt shears clean through as alpha strength I didn't know I possessed tears, through the physical barriers like they're paper. Both guards go flying backward, slamming into the opposite wall hard enough to crack stone. I step through the doorway, and one tries to rise, reaching for his sword. I look at him. Just look. And the command in my eyes drops him back to his knees, head bowed in submission. He can't fight. I'm done being caged, done being owned, done letting other people decide my fate. The dungeons are 3 levels down and heavily guarded, but I don't care. I'm the Omega Alpha Queen, and every wolf in my path will kneel or fall. I move through the palace like vengeance incarnate, and guards scatter or submit, none brave enough to actually engage me. 2 try to block the dungeon stairs. I throw them aside with strength that shouldn't exist in my frame. 4 more wait at the bottom. 1 look from my gold-flashing eyes and they bare their throats. Logan's cell is at the end of the corridor, and I can feel him through the bond now, alert and panicking because he feels me coming. The iron door is locked and warded, designed to hold even powerful alphas. I grab the bars and pull. Metal shrieks and warps, magic sparking against my palms as the wards try to stop me and fail. The door tears free with a sound like breaking bones, and then I'm inside. Logan is chained to the wall, and even in the dim torchlight I can see the damage they did to him. His face is a mess of bruises and cuts. His ribs are bound, but clearly broken. There's dried blood in his hair, and fresh blood on his wrists, where the silver-treated shackles have burned through skin. Avery. My name comes out strangled. What are you doing? Saving you. I cross to him, reaching for the chains, but he jerks away. Don't. The silver will burn you. I don't care. I grab the chains and pull, and yes, it burns. Agony searing my palms as silver reacts with my wolf blood. But I'm also alpha now, stronger than the metal, stronger than the magic meant to bind. The chains snap like thread. Logan collapses forward and I catch him, and the second our skin touches, the mate bond explodes between us. Golden light erupts from our joined hands, racing up our arms, wrapping around us like visible fire. I feel the bond settling deeper, cementing, becoming unbreakable as ancient magic recognizes what we are to each other. Guardian and queen, fated mates, 2 halves of one impossible whole. I love you, I whisper against his hair. I've loved you since I was 7 years old, and I'm done pretending I don't. His arms come around me despite his injuries, holding me so tight I can barely breathe. I love you too. Always have. Always will. The moment shatters as alarm bells start clanging throughout the palace. We've been discovered. Footsteps thunder down the corridor. Dozens of them, and I hear Rashid's voice shouting orders. Logan and I pull apart, staring at each other. He's still too injured to fight. I'm too new to this power to control it completely. We're trapped in the dungeon with an army coming. Trust me, I say, and let my wolf surge to the surface one more time. The transformation is faster now, more controlled. Bones reshape and fur erupts, and I drop to 4 legs, my massive silver wolf filling half the cell. Logan stares up at me with awe, and through the bond I feel his wolf responding, recognizing me as his queen worth dying for. The dungeon door explodes inward, and 50 alphas pour through led by Rashid in all his lethal grace. He sees me, sees Logan protected behind my form, and his face contorts with rage. You chose wrong, Avery, he snarls. Now you both die. My wolf throws her head back and roars. Not a howl, a roar of pure alpha dominance, announcing to every wolf in range that their queen stands here and will not submit. Outside, the 300 wolves begin to howl in answer. And somewhere deeper in the palace, I hear more joining them. The servants, the lower guards, the wolves who've been waiting their whole lives for someone to challenge the old ways. Rashid realizes his mistake too late. He thought he was facing one rebellious Omega. He's facing a revolution, and it's about to burn his entire world down. The 50 alpha warriors flood the dungeon corridor like a crimson tide, torchlight glinting off their ceremonial armor, and Rashid stands at their center, radiating fury so thick I can taste it on my tongue. Behind me, Logan struggles to stand despite his injuries, and I feel his determination through the mate bond. He'll fight beside me even if it kills him. But I didn't come here to watch him die. I came here to change everything. The transformation rips through me with intention this time. Not the surprised awakening in the stables, not the confused emergence of something I didn't understand. This is deliberate, controlled. My wolf surging forward because I'm calling her, commanding her, embracing what I am instead of fearing it. My skin splits along invisible seams, and I welcome the agony, leaning into it instead of fighting. Bones crack and elongate, the sound echoing off stone walls like breaking branches. My spine curves and reforms, vertebrae shifting with wet pops that should horrify me, but instead feel like freedom. Muscles tear and rebuild, expanding, strengthening, becoming something more than human flesh was ever meant to be. I drop to 4 legs as silver fur erupts across my body, each hair catching torchlight and throwing it back like captured moonbeams. My senses explode. I smell fear sweat on 40 of the 50 alphas. Smell Rashid's rage mixed with something that might be arousal because he still thinks he can possess this power. I hear heartbeats thundering in 50 chests. Hear the scrape of claws on stone as some of them shift to meet me. Hear the 300 wolves outside the palace howling recognition. My wolf is massive, larger than any alpha male I've ever seen. When I shake out my fur, the movement sends drafts of air rippling across the dungeon. My paws are the size of dinner plates, claws scraping grooves in the stone floor. And my eyes, I can feel them burning gold fire, reflecting in the shocked faces of the warriors surrounding us. Behind me, I hear Logan's transformation beginning. The sound is different from mine, rougher, more ancient, touched with something that resonates in my bones. I risk a glance back and watch as his body remakes itself. His wolf is pure midnight black, so dark he seems to absorb light rather than reflect it. But as his fur settles into place, I see them. Glowing silver runes marking his pelt in patterns that spell out words in a language older than kingdoms. They run down his spine, across his shoulders, around his legs like living tattoos. The marks of the mystic wolf guardians. Dormant bloodline awakening because his queen finally claimed her throne. Even injured and exhausted, Logan's wolf is magnificent. Smaller than mine but built for speed and precision, muscles coiling beneath midnight fur, amber eyes fixed on me with devotion so absolute it makes my heart ache. He moves to stand beside me, and the runes on his fur pulse with golden light that matches my eyes. Together, we're myth made flesh, legend walking, impossible reality. Rashid's lips pull back in a snarl. You think transforming changes anything? You're still just an Omega playing dress-up in alpha power. And he's still a dead beta walking. His words are meant to diminish, to reduce what we are to something manageable. but I feel the tremor in his voice, see the way his warriors shift uneasily. They're afraid. Good. I step forward, and my paws make no sound despite my size. The movement is fluid, predatory, and I see several warriors take involuntary steps backward. Rashid holds his ground, but his alpha scent spikes with aggression meant to intimidate. It doesn't work. Not anymore. He barks an order in Arabic, and 20 warriors rush us simultaneously. They're well-trained, coordinated, attacking from multiple angles to overwhelm through sheer numbers. In my human form, I'd be dead in seconds. But I'm not human anymore. My wolf moves with instincts I didn't know I possessed. I'm faster than physics should allow, stronger than biology can explain. The first warrior reaches me, and I bat him aside with one massive paw, sending him crashing into the wall hard enough to crack stone. 2 more come from my left, and I spin, jaws snapping, catching one by the armor and throwing him into his companion. Logan fights beside me, and through the mate bond I feel his movements like they're my own. We move in perfect synchronization. When I dodge right, he covers my left. When he ducks under a blade, I eliminate the threat above him. The runes on his pelt glow brighter with each movement, ancient magic enhancing his speed and strength beyond normal beta limits. We're not just fighting together, we're fighting as one. The dungeon corridor becomes a blur of movement and violence. I'm operating on pure instinct, Omega tactical intelligence combined with alpha dominance and raw power. I don't just overpower the warriors, I outthink them. When 3 try to box me in, I leap straight up, claws finding purchase on the stone ceiling, and drop behind them before they can adjust. When 5 form a shield wall, I charge straight through the center, my mass and momentum turning their defense into kindling. Logan uses his smaller size and guardian training to devastating effect. He's a shadow, appearing where he's needed most, targeting weak points with surgical precision. Ancient knowledge flows through him, techniques passed down through generations of protectors who served queens like me. He's not trying to dominate like the alphas. He's trying to protect, and that makes him twice as dangerous. Blood splashes the stone walls, but none of it is ours. I'm careful not to kill. These warriors are following orders, not acting from personal malice, but I make sure each one who falls won't be getting up quickly. Broken bones, concussions, injuries that will heal but hurt like hell for weeks. Rashid watches his elite guard fall apart against 2 wolves, and I see the moment his certainty cracks. He shifts mid-stride, clothes tearing as his alpha form erupts. Golden fur, massive frame, built for dominance and display. He's beautiful in the way apex predators are beautiful, all lethal grace and coiled power. Retreat! His voice booms even in wolf form, and the remaining warriors scramble back up the stairs. To the courtyard! Regroup! He's trying to draw us into open space where his numbers advantage will matter more. Smart tactically, but it won't save him. Logan and I chase them up the winding dungeon stairs, our claws scraping stone, our breath coming in synchronized pants. Warriors flee before us, some shifting to wolf form mid-run, others maintaining human shape as they scramble toward the exit. The palace is chaos, servants screaming, nobles barricading themselves in rooms, the alarm bells still clanging their warning into the pre-dawn darkness. We burst through the main doors into the central courtyard, and the scene that greets me steals my breath even in wolf form. The 300 wolves are still there, still surrounding the palace in concentric circles, but now they're on their feet, attention fixed on the doorway, waiting. When I emerge, silver fur gleaming in the moonlight, a ripple passes through the entire pack. Then, as one, all 300 drop into submissive postures. Not fearful submission, reverent submission, heads bowed, throats exposed, tails low, every wolf from the smallest omega to the largest alpha acknowledging what I am, their queen, finally claimed. The sight nearly breaks my concentration, but Rashid's snarl snaps me back. He's positioned himself in the center of the courtyard, his 50 remaining warriors arranged behind him in battle formation. But I notice the cracks in their unity. Several keep glancing at me, at the 300 wolves bowing, at Logan with his glowing guardian runes. They're questioning their orders. Rashid doesn't see it yet. He's too consumed by rage and wounded pride. Last chance, Avery. His voice projects across the courtyard, amplified by alpha power. Submit now. Marry me. Send the beta into exile and accept your proper place, or I will slaughter every wolf loyal to you, starting with him. His golden eyes fix on Logan, and I feel murder in his intent. Through the mate bond, I sense Logan's readiness to fight to the death, his absolute certainty that I'm worth dying for. But he's not going to die. Not today. Not ever if I have anything to say about it. I shift back to human form, and Logan immediately moves to cover me with the tattered remains of his shirt. I don't care about modesty right now. Let them see me naked and unashamed. Let them witness what an Omega with alpha power looks like when she stops apologizing for existing. My voice, when it emerges, carries that alpha command that forced an entire hall to its knees. It echoes off the palace walls, resonates in the chest of every wolf present, demands attention and obedience. I reject you, Rashid. Each word lands like a physical blow. I reject this marriage. I reject every tradition that has chained me since birth. I reject the treaties signed in my blood before I could consent. I reject the system that treats Omegas as property and Betas as invisible. I am the Omega Alpha Queen, and I choose my mate. I choose Logan. I choose freedom, and I will burn down anyone who tries to stop me. Power radiates from me in visible waves, golden light that makes the 300 wolves howl in response. Their voices lift in unified declaration, announcing my claim to anyone within miles. And then something miraculous happens. Movement from inside the palace catches my eye. Servants emerge. Yasmin first, then others. Dozens of them. Lower-ranking guards who've been ordered to protect a system that grinds them down. Even some of Rashid's own warriors, the ones I saw questioning, step away from his formation and move toward the circle of 300. They recognize truth when they see it. They recognize power that protects, instead of oppresses. Lies! Rashid roars. She's using witch magic to manipulate you. She's no queen, just an Omega whore who spread her legs for a beta and now pretends destiny. Enough! Nadia's voice cuts through his tirade like a knife. The ancient healer shuffles into the courtyard, and despite her age and blindness, every eye turns to her. She carries a scroll I recognize from her chambers. Old parchment, official seals. You want to speak of lies, Prince? Then let's discuss the treaty that supposedly gives you rights to this woman. She unfurls the scroll, and even from here I can see my father's signature at the bottom, dated 23 years ago. Lord Mitchell signed this treaty under duress. Your father, King Khalid, currently watching from his window like a coward, threatened to massacre Mitchell's family if he didn't hand over his newborn daughter. This wasn't diplomacy. It was extortion. The treaty is void. Shocked silence. Then chaos erupts. Rashid's warriors turn on each other, some arguing that void treaty doesn't matter, others insisting that extorted promises carry no honor. The 300 wolves howl louder, emboldened by the revelation. Palace nobles who've been watching from windows and balconies start shouting questions and accusations. And from the main palace entrance, a figure emerges that makes even Rashid go still. King Khalid, the ancient ruler of the dynasty, my supposed father-in-law. He's 90 if he's a day, bent with age but still radiating the authority of 5 decades on the throne. His wolf is too old to shift, but his alpha presence silences the courtyard immediately. He surveys the scene, the 300 wolves, me standing naked and defiant, Logan at my side marked with guardian runes, his son Rashid surrounded by crumbling support. Then he looks at me, really looks, and I see recognition dawn in his rheumy eyes. The prophecy, he breathes. Moon goddess. It's true. She's returned. Then, slowly, with joints that creak audibly, King Khalid lowers himself to one knee, bows his head, exposes his throat in submission to me. The gesture breaks something fundamental in the power structure. If the king acknowledges me, how can his warriors refuse? One by one, Rashid's remaining supporters drop to their knees. Not all, maybe 15 stay standing, loyal to their prince despite everything. But 35 kneel. Rashid stands alone in the center of the courtyard, golden fur bristling, surrounded by submission and betrayal. I watch his mind work, watch him realize he's lost everything. Authority, support, the woman he thought belonged to him, and I watch him choose violence over acceptance. He shifts back to human form, naked and furious, and somehow produces a blade from the pile of his shredded clothes. Before anyone can react, he's sprinting toward Logan with murder in his eyes. If I can't have you, at least I'll kill what you love most. Time slows. I see the blade arcing toward Logan's exposed throat. See Logan too injured to dodge effectively. See my mate, my guardian, my love, my reason for everything, about to die. My wolf explodes out of me faster than thought. I cross the distance in a single bound, massive silver form intercepting Rashid mid-strike. My jaws close around his throat, not hard enough to kill, but hard enough to immobilize. He goes down under my weight, blades skittering across cobblestones, his vulnerable human body pinned beneath 1,000 pounds of ancient power. I could kill him. Moon Goddess knows I want to. One flex of my jaw and his throat tears out. His blood waters the courtyard, and he never threatens anyone I love again. But through the mate bond, I feel Logan's presence, not urging violence, just existing, reminding me without words who I am. Not a monster, not Celine who burned the world. Something better, something new. I hold Rashid there for a long moment, letting him feel how close he came to death, letting him understand that mercy is a choice, not weakness. Then I release him and step back, shifting to human form. Logan is there immediately, wrapping me in his shirt, holding me steady as I shake with adrenaline and fury and relief. Rashid coughs and gasps on the ground, hand at his bleeding throat. I broke skin, but nothing fatal. I look down at him with all the contempt I've been swallowing for 23 years. You never deserved me, and you never could have tamed me. Go, leave this kingdom, and pray we never meet again. King Khalid rises slowly, supported by attendants, and approaches me with something like wonder in his eyes. Omega Alpha Queen, forgive an old wolf his son's crimes. Let there be peace between our people. I offer you half my kingdom, land, resources, title. A true alliance, not forced marriage. Rule beside us as equal, and heal the wounds my family has carved into yours. It's a generous offer, more than generous. Half a kingdom, recognition, power without the fight I'd need to take it. The smart political move would be to accept. But I don't want smart politics. I want revolution. I look at the 300 wolves still kneeling in reverence, at the servants and guards who abandoned their posts to join my side, at Logan standing beside me with guardian runes glowing on his skin and absolute love in his eyes, at Yasmin and Nadia and all the others who believed in me when believing was dangerous. I don't want half your kingdom, I say clearly. I don't want to rule beside you or under you or anywhere in your shadow. I'm going to create my own kingdom, one where omegas aren't traded like cattle, where betas aren't invisible, where wolves choose their mates instead of having them assigned by treaty, where love matters more than bloodlines and consent matters more than tradition. The courtyard is so silent I hear my own heartbeat. Then the 300 wolves lift their voices in unison, howling approval and allegiance. And the sound grows as more join. The servants, the guards, even some of the nobles who've been watching. 400 voices, 500. The howl carries across the city, and I swear I hear wolves miles away answering the call. King Khalid watches the revolution begin in his courtyard, and instead of anger, I see relief. Then go with my blessing, young queen. Build something better than we did. And when you need allies, know that this old wolf admires your courage, even as he mourns his son's failure. He turns to Rashid, still gasping on the ground, and his voice carries bitter disappointment. You had a chance at something extraordinary, and you chose ownership over partnership. You deserve the loneliness coming for you. Then he limps back to his palace, and I watch centuries of tradition walk away on arthritic legs. Logan pulls me closer, and I feel the mate bond singing between us, golden and unbreakable, and absolutely right. Around us, hundreds of wolves wait for direction, ready to follow wherever I lead. So, Logan murmurs against my hair, where does an Omega Alpha Queen build her revolution? I look at the horizon where dawn is finally breaking, painting the desert sky in shades of gold and crimson. Somewhere out there is territory unclaimed, land where we can start fresh, build something that's never existed before. Somewhere free, I whisper. Somewhere the old rules don't reach. Somewhere we make our own. The howling continues, a song of change and defiance that will echo through history. They said an Omega with alpha power would burn the world. They were right. But sometimes the world needs to burn so something better can grow from the ashes. And I'm just getting started. 6 months have passed since the night I rejected a crown to claim my freedom, and I'm standing on the half-finished ramparts of what will become the fortress walls, watching my kingdom wake with the dawn. The air up here in the northern mountains is thinner than the desert heat of Petra, sharp and clean, carrying the scent of pine and stone, and the smoke from 100 cooking fires below. From this vantage point, I can see everything we've built from nothing. The main courtyard where beta carpenters are already hauling timber for the Great Hall's roof beams, their voices calling measurements and jokes in equal measure. The southern terraces where Omega families tend vegetable gardens that shouldn't grow this high in the mountains but somehow thrive anyway, green shoots defying the rocky soil. The training grounds where Alpha warriors spar with Omega fighters, teaching and learning from each other without the weight of hierarchy crushing every interaction into dominance displays. Impossible, they said. An Omega with Alpha power trying to build a kingdom where rank doesn't equal oppression, where betas have voices that matter, where anyone can rise based on merit instead of birth designation. It can't work, the old kingdoms whispered. It will collapse within weeks. They were wrong. We're not just surviving, we're thriving. I gripped the rough stone of the unfinished wall and let myself remember the journey that brought us here. That dawn 6 months ago, when 300 wolves, now my council of pack leaders, followed me out of Rashid's kingdom. We had nothing but the clothes on our backs, whatever supplies loyal servants could smuggle to us, and an impossible dream of building something better. The first week was hell. We traveled through desert, then scrubland, then into these mountains that the old maps said were uninhabitable. 30 wolves turned back, afraid of the unknown, unable to believe I could deliver on promises of freedom. I don't blame them. I was barely 23, newly awakened to powers I didn't understand, leading people into wilderness with no guarantee of survival. But Logan never doubted. Even injured from the palace fight, ribs still healing, he walked beside me every step. When I faltered, and I faltered often those first days, his presence through the mate bond anchored me. When I wanted to give up, his quiet certainty that I was exactly who these people needed kept me moving forward. We found this valley on day 12, a natural fortress surrounded by mountain peaks, with fresh water springs and enough flat land for building. The moment I saw it, my wolf knew. This was home. This was where we'd plant roots and grow something new. The first month was pure survival. We lived in tents and caves while the strongest among us cut timber and hauled stone. Everyone worked, alphas alongside omegas, betas coordinating construction teams, even children helping where they could. There was no room for old hierarchies when we were all equally desperate to build shelter before winter came. I worked harder than anyone. Had to. They needed to see their queen wasn't above getting dirt under her fingernails, wasn't too delicate for physical labor. I hauled stone until my hands bled, learning construction from beta masters who'd spent lifetimes building things. I hunted with the alphas, bringing down deer and mountain goats to feed our people. I planted seeds with the omegas, coaxing life from stubborn soil. And at night, when exhaustion should have knocked me unconscious, I met with the 300 pack leaders, now my council, planning laws and systems and structures that would make this kingdom different from everything that came before. Logan was there through all of it, not governing. He was clear from the start that this was my kingdom, my vision, my rules, but advising, protecting, loving me through the moments when the weight of responsibility felt like it would crush my spine. The first night we had true privacy, safely away from Rashid's kingdom and sleeping in a cave that would eventually become our personal quarters. I finally let myself feel everything I'd been holding back. Fear that I was leading people to their deaths, doubt that I could actually build what I'd promised, guilt over the lives disrupted, the families separated, the safety abandoned for my impossible dream. Logan held me while I cried, ugly, gasping sobs that racked my whole body. He didn't tell me it would be okay or offer false platitudes. He just held me, his guardian runes glowing faintly in the darkness, the mate bond wrapping around us like a blanket. Then he kissed me, really kissed me. Not the desperate stolen moments we'd grabbed before, but deep and claiming and full of promise. His hands mapped my body like he was memorizing sacred text, and I finally understood what it meant to be touched by someone who saw me as person, not possession. We made love that night with moonlight filtering through the cave entrance, and the mate bond blazing between us like visible fire. It was nothing like what I'd been taught mating should be. No alpha dominance forcing omega submission. No performative displays of power. Just two people who'd chosen each other, finally free to express what had always been true. Afterward, lying tangled together on fur blankets, Logan traced the curve of my face and whispered, "You're going to change the world, Avery Mitchell, and I get to watch it happen." The full mate bond ceremony came a month later, under the harvest moon. Nadia officiated, using rituals from the old texts that hadn't been performed in 1,000 years. The entire settlement gathered as Logan and I stood before them, naked as wolves are born, and spoke vows we'd written ourselves. "I choose you," I said, voice carrying across the assembled pack. Not because tradition demands it or treaties require it, but because my soul recognizes yours. Because you see me as whole, not broken. Because you kneel beside me, not before me. I choose you, Logan echoed, his guardian runes blazing bright enough to read by. Not to own or control, but to protect and cherish. Not to diminish your power, but to help you wield it. Not as your subject, but as your partner in building something that's never existed before. When we kissed to seal the bond, golden light erupted from where our bodies touched, racing across the gathered wolves like wildfire. Every person there felt it, the completion of something prophesied, the rightness of chosen love over forced obligation. That night, in our cave that was slowly becoming a proper home, the mate bond settled into something permanent and unbreakable. I could feel Logan's heartbeat in my chest, sense his emotions like they were my own, communicate without words through the golden thread connecting our souls. And 2 months after that, I woke up vomiting and knew immediately what it meant. I'm pregnant. 3 months along now, though barely showing beneath the leather tunic I wear for construction work. The knowledge fills me with terror and wonder in equal measure. This child, our child, will be the first born into this new kingdom, the first to grow up believing omegas can lead and betas matter, and love is chosen not assigned. No pressure there. Logan found me crying happy tears in our quarters the day I confirmed it, and he dropped to his knees before me, pressing his ear to my still flat belly like he could hear the heartbeat already. Our daughter, he whispered with absolute certainty. She's going to be fierce like her mother. Or son, I argued through tears. Daughter, he insisted with guardian certainty that gave me chills. Trust me, governing this growing kingdom has been the hardest thing I've ever attempted, and I've faced down 50 alpha warriors in single combat, creating new systems, new laws, new ways of existing when every wolf here carries 1,000 years of ingrained hierarchy in their blood. It's like trying to rebuild a house while living in it. The omegas were easiest to convince. They'd lived under oppression their whole lives and embraced the chance to be something more. I established mandatory combat training for any omega who wanted it, taught by alpha and beta instructors who actually understood that submission in bed doesn't mean weakness in battle. Watching previously timid omega mothers learn to fight, to defend themselves and their children, to stand tall instead of cowering, that's been one of my proudest achievements. The alphas were harder. So many of them genuinely believe dominance is their birthright, that commanding submission is natural order, not learned oppression. I've spent countless hours in council meetings, patiently explaining that sharing power doesn't diminish them, that respecting omega autonomy doesn't make them weak, that true strength lies in choosing cooperation over control. Some got it immediately, others I'm still working on, and a few, maybe 20, couldn't adjust and left to return to traditional kingdoms. I let them go without fight. This kingdom is built on choice, and that means choosing to leave too. But the breakthrough moment came 3 months ago, when I established what we call the choosing ceremony. In traditional kingdoms, omegas are promised at birth, or sold to highest bidders, or claimed by alphas through dominance displays. In my kingdom, omegas choose their mates publicly, with full right of refusal that carries legal protection. The first choosing ceremony brought 40 omegas who'd fled arranged marriages, seeking freedom to love who they actually wanted. I made them wait 3 months, not as punishment, but as protection, ensuring they weren't choosing out of desperation or rebound or trauma response. Then on the night of the full moon, we gathered in the main courtyard, still just packed dirt back then, and I stood before my people and explained the rules. Any omega who wished to choose a mate could do so publicly. Any alpha or beta who wished to be chosen could present themselves with offerings and declarations. But the final decision belonged solely to the omega, and no meant no with force of law behind it. I watched 40 omegas choose that night. Some picked alphas who'd courted them patiently. Some chose betas who'd shown them kindness when kindness was rare. 3 chose other omegas, and the kingdom celebrated that too, because love is love regardless of designation. The sight of 40 faces glowing with joy, with power, with the knowledge that their choices mattered. I cried through the entire ceremony. This is what I'd fought for. This moment of autonomy, of respect, of omegas being treated as people instead of property. Word of the choosing ceremony spread like wildfire through neighboring kingdoms. Within weeks, messengers started arriving at our gates. Some brought threats. Rashid's messengers came monthly with increasingly desperate ultimatums: surrender or face invasion, return, or watch your kingdom burn, submit or condemn everyone who followed you to death. I sent each messenger back with the same response. Tell your prince his threats grow boring. Tell him to actually make a move or admit he's already lost. Other messengers brought requests that broke my heart. Omegas from kingdoms 3 weeks travel away, begging asylum from arranged marriages. Betas asking if there's truly a place where their voices matter. Even some alphas, tired of toxic systems that demanded cruelty as proof of strength, requesting citizenship in a kingdom built on different foundations. We've grown from 300 to 2,000 wolves in 6 months. Our population doubles every full moon, it seems. We're building faster than people arrive, but barely. The fortress walls rise higher each week. The Great Hall's roof is finally complete. We've established farms and forges, schools and healing centers, everything needed for a functioning kingdom. And today, this morning, with dawn breaking gold across the mountains, is my official coronation. I'm not nervous exactly, more like terrified, exhilarated, and desperately hoping I don't vomit from morning sickness in front of 2,000 witnesses. The pregnancy hasn't been easy. 3 months of nausea that hits worst at dawn. Exhaustion that makes governing while building while growing a person feel impossible some days. But Logan's there every morning, bringing ginger tea and crackers, rubbing my back when I'm sick, using the mate bond to siphon off some of the discomfort when it gets unbearable. Being loved this completely, this consistently, still feels like a miracle I'm afraid to trust fully. The coronation begins at noon. Instead of the golden palace I was supposed to marry into, I'm crowned in a stone fortress we built with our own hands. Instead of the wedding dress I hated, I wear armor, silvered steel crafted by our beta smiths, fitted for my female form, designed for function, not decoration. I look like what I am, a warrior queen. The entire kingdom gathers in the main courtyard, 2,000 faces turn toward the raised platform where Nadia waits with the crown. Not gold and jewels like traditional royalty would wear, but a simple circlet forged from the same mountain iron as my armor. Strong, practical, earned. Logan stands beside Nadia, and seeing him takes my breath away even after 6 months together. He's wearing leather armor marked with guardian runes, his dark hair pulled back, those amber eyes fixed on me with devotion so absolute it makes my chest ache. He's not here as my king or prince. He's here as my guardian, my chosen mate, the person who protects and advises and loves without trying to control. I walk through the parted crowd, and every face I pass shows something different. The original 300 who followed me out of Rashid's kingdom wear pride mixed with wonder. Look what we built together. The refugees who came later show hope tentatively blooming. Even the few skeptical alphas who still struggle with my rule show grudging respect. When I reach the platform, Logan takes my hands, and I feel the mate bond singing between us. His smile is soft and private, meant only for me despite the audience. Nadia's blind eyes somehow find mine with eerie precision. Avery Mitchell, her ancient voice carries across the courtyard. You stand before your people seeking recognition as their queen. But first, let us speak the prophecy complete, as it was written 1,000 years ago. She pulls out the scroll I've seen fragments of before, and I realize this is the first time anyone's hearing the full text. When the Omega Alpha is born, she shall face a choice, Nadia recites. Golden chains or bloody freedom. If she chooses chains, marries for duty, suppresses her power, denies the mate bond, she will destroy the world in madness, as did the last. But if she chooses freedom, if she breaks tradition, claims her mate, builds something new from ashes of the old, the world will rebuild itself in her image, not without pain, not without cost, but remade into something that could not exist before. She looks at me, through me, into the core of who I am. You chose freedom, child. You chose love over duty, autonomy over security, revolution over comfort. And look, she sweeps her hand to encompass the fortress, the people, the impossible kingdom we've built. The world is remaking itself, not destroyed, transformed. Logan lifts the iron crown and places it on my head. The weight is substantial but not crushing. Right. I crown you not as owner of these wolves, but as their chosen leader, he says clearly. Not as someone who commands submission, but as someone who has earned loyalty. Not as my master, but as my partner. Rise, Avery Mitchell. Rise, Omega Alpha Queen. Rise, and lead us into the future you're creating. I rise, and 2,000 voices erupt in howls of celebration. The sound is deafening, joyful, Full of hope I pray I can live up to. Then movement at the edge of the courtyard catches my eye. A rider approaching fast, wearing Rashid's colors. Another messenger with another threat. The timing is almost funny. Here, on the day of my coronation, he still can't let go. The messenger, a young beta wolf who looks terrified, approaches and bows low. Queen Avery, I bring word from Prince Rashid. He demands you surrender your false kingdom and return to fulfill your betrothal oath, or he will march on these mountains with an army of 5,000 warriors and burn everything you've built to ash. Silence falls. 2,000 wolves wait to see how their queen will respond to threats on the day of her coronation. I could respond with fury, could send the messenger back with counter-threats, promises of violence, displays of the alpha power that could probably level half of Rashid's army before they reached our walls. But I'm tired of violence, tired of threats, tired of everything being resolved through dominance and submission, and who can roar the loudest. So instead, I smile at the messenger. Tell Prince Rashid that the doors of my kingdom remain open to any Omega seeking freedom from arranged marriage. Tell him that every day he threatens me. More of his subjects flee to my borders seeking asylum. Tell him that he's not losing a war. He's losing his people, one liberated soul at a time. Tell him that my victory isn't destroying him. It's being so much better that his kingdom crumbles from people choosing to leave. I step closer to the messenger, gentling my voice, and tell him that I forgive him. Not because he deserves it, but because holding on to anger would poison the kingdom I'm building. He no longer matters to my story. He's just a footnote, someone who tried to cage what should fly free and lost. The messenger stares at me with something like awe, then bows again, and flees. Laughter ripples through the assembled crowd. Not cruel laughter, but the kind that comes from releasing tension, from seeing someone respond to threats with grace instead of violence. That's my revenge. Not killing Rashid or destroying his kingdom or even particularly caring what he does anymore. Just building something so bright, so good, so fundamentally better that his darkness can't compete. Just succeeding so completely that his loss of me becomes the biggest mistake of his political career. That night, after hours of celebration, feasting and music and stories and 2,000 wolves howling joy at the moon, Logan and I finally escaped to the roof of the fortress. Our private retreat, still rough stone and unfinished, but ours. I lean against the battlements, his arms wrapped around me from behind, his hands resting on my belly where our daughter grows. 3 months along now, definitely showing beneath my loosened armor. I'm exhausted and exhilarated and terrified and hopeful all at once. Below us, the original 300, now pack leaders and council members, and the foundation of everything we've built, howl together, not in reverence this time, but in pure celebration, joy at what we've accomplished, at what's still to come. Do you regret it? Logan asks softly against my ear. Everything you lost, the security of noble birth, the certainty of political alliance, the ease of just submitting to what they wanted. I think about the wedding dress I never wore, the palace I never lived in, the life of comfortable oppression I could have accepted. Then I look at the kingdom we built from nothing, at the 2,000 refugees who found home here, at the man who chose to kneel beside me instead of trying to rule over me, at the life growing inside me who will be born into freedom I never had. I didn't lose anything, I say, and mean it with every fiber of my being. I gained everything. I gained myself. I gained choice. I gained love that doesn't demand submission as proof. I gained power that doesn't require crushing others to maintain. I gained a kingdom built on hope instead of fear. I gained everything that matters. Logan kisses my temple, and through the mate bond, I feel his absolute agreement, his fierce pride in who I've become. The moon rises full and bright above us, and I feel my wolf stirring. Not urgently, not transforming, just present, content, finally at peace with both sides of what I am. Omega biology housing alpha power, submission and dominance existing in harmony instead of contradiction. I throw my head back and howl. Not a command or a threat or a challenge. Just pure joy, pure freedom, the sound of someone who finally knows who they are and refuses to apologize for existing. Logan joins me, his guardian voice harmonizing with mine, then the 300 below, then the entire kingdom, 2,000 voices lifting to the sky in celebration of what we've built and what we're still building. They said one embrace would change my destiny. They were right, but not the way they thought. The embrace didn't change my destiny. It freed me to create my destiny. To reject the path chosen for me before I could walk and forge my own through sheer stubborn will, and the love of people who believed impossible things were worth fighting for. This is just the beginning. There are kingdoms to negotiate with, systems to refine, children to raise in this new world we're creating. There will be setbacks and challenges and days when I question everything. But tonight, standing on top of the fortress we built from nothing, crowned as queen of a kingdom that shouldn't exist, carrying a daughter who'll be born into freedom I had to fight for, held by a man who chose partnership over ownership. Tonight, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and the revolution has only just begun.